once again. We're still with you in this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. And now it's time for our first segment, in which we will be talking about the latest visit of Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab to Equatorial Guinea. What is the importance of such a visit, especially that it's the third visit? Last April there was 2 visits to African countries for both Chad and Tanzania. So this is the third visit to an African country. And we're pleased to be joined today by Mr. Abdullah Hamouda, who is the Egyptian journalist. Very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Hamouda. Let's first talk about the outlines of this current visit to Equatorial Guinea by His Excellency the Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab.
Well, Ibrahim Mahlab appears to be a statesman and not a passing figure like when Dr. Assam Sharaf visited Africa. And this visit is significant in the sense that it covered 3 countries: Chad, Tanzania, and Equatorial Africa. And it had on its agenda probably different item in each country, in addition to the common theme, which is the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. In Chad, he discussed the issue of security and arms smuggling, which is very important to Egypt at this stage. In Tanzania, he focused on the long-term Egyptian-African ties in order to revive the history of the bond, the Egyptian-African bond, and use that to contain any threat which could be to the Egyptian national security from the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. In Equatorial Africa, it was like going through to the depth of the continent. And there are 2 observations which I have to make, and I find extremely relevant. The first one is that this visit has come after the meeting of Foreign Minister Fahmy and the Foreign Minister of Ethiopia in Europe, which has resulted in some conciliatory tones which set the ground for this visit. And the discussion which took place in Mr. Mahlab's visit is for the first time rational, constructive, conciliatory, and looking forward to the future, including the return of Egypt into the folds of the African Union. Mm-hmm. The second one, and it is a mixed one, while some media organizations and press in Egypt gave a fair coverage to the visit, as important as it is, the visit in general has fallen victim to the presidential debate, which has taken priority as everyone in Egypt thinks about it. Mm-hmm. But at least there are certain circles within the state and interest in the country which this visit has been awarded. And I think it is a step forward in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. But sir, how do you see the relations now with the African countries? I mean the relations before and now after the visits that are taking place to boost the bilateral relations between
the relationships between the states are not that quick switching on and off. Mm-hmm. We have a great history of good relations with Africa. Unfortunately, since the mid-90s, things went sour because the then President Hosni Mubarak has personified the relationship between Egypt and Africa to his liking and to his mood as well. And the moods of people do not structure the foreign policy of a state, especially when the matter is related to national security. Now, I think the African people are taking Egypt seriously. We are on the step of a new era, having an elected constitutional president supported by the people, whoever he could be of the 2 candidates. And we are about to enter a new page also in terms of having a stable policy based on election manifestos, election commitments of each of the two candidates, and the page is being turned now. So I think the Africans see us as willing, able, and with good intention to work with them to think and entertain ideas of common interest. The African countries like Ethiopia and other African countries need electricity, we need water, so how can we come to some kind of agreement which can survive?
But the issue of the Renaissance Dam also has spoiled the relations, I mean, or spoiled, many people were busy-minded with such a dam and how it will negatively affect Egypt, so I think it's...
Yes, I agree with you. Since 2005, the European governments, especially in Britain, led a westerly drive into Africa in a competition with China especially and Russia. And probably Africa is considered now in the world as the last front of the gold rush, resources rush, let's call it this way. And there is a concern in the West because of the Chinese influence and in Chinese contribution to the African economy in return for buying resources. And as we are entering globally into a resource scarcity stage, the West want to spoil it for China, and also because China is the most promising new superpower, they would like to forestall this for as long as it takes and make it difficult. However, it can be under the